automatic events, which are the deployment of the parachutes.
Yeah, and the Earth's atmosphere certainly does make it easier for the WB-57 to spot the hot thing. It is excess of 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit, so it should be able to spot it in the sky. There should be nothing else like it at this time. We're, again, a couple minutes away from starting to exit that phase where we're seeing a lot of plasma, and so we are expecting pings from Dragon or ground to try to get that acquisition of signal. So again, I mentioned things are going to be happening very, very quickly as soon as we get out of here. Gary, we are under 10 minutes until splashdown.
I cannot wait. This is a very dynamic period, so we are listening very closely to all of the different sequence of events because, as you're saying, Andy, a lot is going to happen. We're more than halfway through this expected blackout period, an expected 7-minute period. Of course, there might be some variation, but we're expecting an acquisition of signal and initial communications from the crew before we see the deployment of the drogue parachutes and main parachutes. There's about maybe about 2 minutes difference from when we should first hear from the crew themselves at about 7:27 and about 7:29 p.m. Pacific is when we should see the drogues and the main chutes deploy. And again, I say both of them at 7:29 because that's how fast that sequence is. It's about 8-second deployment from of confirmation of the drogue chutes themselves, and 40 seconds later, the main chutes are out. It's very, very quick.
はい、着水のタイミングはですね、12時33分ですね、日本で。あと10分後ぐらいなんですけど、今現在はですね、着水が前に大気圏に突入している時にね、ちょうどね、空気の層のところで、こう一番しんどそうななんか燃えてそうなあれビューッと押してきてるところで、落ちてきてる間、ブラックアウトしちゃうんで、周りがね、プラズマで包まれるんだって合ってるよ、それ合ってるかな。包まれてなんかね、通信が遮断されちゃうんだって。だから6分間の通信できないタイミングが。
From this moment in time, about a minute left in the anticipated period. Again, it's not an exact science. There might be some variation. We might hear from them early. We might hear from them late. It just depends on a couple of different factors. But we're all eagerly at the edge of our seats right now, just standing by, waiting to hear from the crew. So far, things looking good. And we'll continue to track it as we enter the final moments of this blackout period.
どうですか、マイク。いつにも増してロケット VTuber らしいですね。なんでロケット VTuber だよ、リオは。お、すっごい。
We're getting WB views. The first views of Crew
流れ
Dragon.
星だ。火球
Look
だ。
at that tail.
すごい。
That's the 3,500 degrees.
Yes.
Look for the hot thing.
見て
Right?
見て見て見て、今帰ってきてる地球に。
It's
再
literally
突
lighting
入
up
し
the
ている
sky.
クルードラゴンエンデボー。
Beautiful.
火の玉だよ、やば。かっこよ。見た？え、すごい、すごい、頑張れ、頑張れ、頑張れ。
Parachute deployment, and we have you on visual.
Automated shoots.
Wonderful to hear from the crew on the other side of the blackout period. The WB-57 high-altitude aircraft providing that thermal imaging. We saw the tail of the entry of the vehicle itself. Absolutely beautiful.
あ、白黒。これは赤外線ですかね、カメラ。
Copy GPS, nominal altitude.
すごい、すごい。
So again, nominal altitude for drogue deployment. That happens at about 18,000 feet. Again, good news after good news, Gary. Things are looking great for Crew 2 return.
I am loving this flight. That altitude expected 1 minute from now.
1 minute from now? 1分？夜のね、着水になるのかな？だからめちゃくちゃ暗くてすごい。すごいぞ。周辺の飛んでる細かいのなんだろう。どれどれどれ？塵みたいなのあった？
Reverse.
The thermal imaging system on board the WB-57 is getting us great views of the capsule, but should give us equally good views of the drogue deployment, expected seconds from now.
頑張れ頑張れ。
The capsule is traveling about 350 miles an hour, and the drogue chute's job is to slow it down to about 120.
さて、この後パラシュートが開きます。パラシュートが開く前にドローグシュートという仮パラシュートというか、なんていうかな、補助パラシュートというか、1個目のパラシュートが開きます。1個目のシュートが開いた後に、そのちっちゃいんだけど、そのシュートが綺麗に開いたら、その後にパラシュート
Drogues deployed.
です。
Confirmation.
これかな？見えた？ドローグは deployed って聞こえましたかね？
That'll
ド
slow
ロ
us
ー
down
グ
from 350 miles an hour to 120 miles an hour.
Dragon, visual on 2 healthy drogues, descent rate nominal.
パラシュートの前に空気抵抗用のドローグシュートというのを分離してます。
So in about 30 seconds, the main chutes are going to come out.
さ
There
あ
are
30 秒
4of
後
them,
にはメインパラシ
and
ュ
they
ート
deploy
が
at about
開く様子が見え
6,500
ると
feet.
思いま
Oh,
す。
Gary, look at this. This is an excellent view of the drogue parachutes.
There it is. Drogue separation. Main chute deploy.
これ今
We'll
の映
wait for
像
confirmation of 4 healthy
すごい
mains.
綺麗なんだけど。メインかなこれ。うわ。うわ。開いた。開いた。開いた
Visual on 4 healthy mains.
クラゲみたい。かわいい。メインパラシュート開きました。
We copy 1,000.
なんか引っかかってる？何あれ？
You really can't ask for anything better. We got confirmation
Naka,
of,
iko aite nai?
you heard on the loops there, 4 healthy mains. Descent
Nanda
rate
are?
is nominal. That means we are expecting splashdown 3 minutes from now. Visually, you can see one of the mains taking slightly longer to
800
inflate.
meters.
800 meters?
But
800
the teams are tracking that as a nominal inflation rate, and the descent rate is as expected.
すごい
We
ふわ
do
って
have
開い
4
た
healthy
ね。
mains, and we are expecting an
3
on-time
つ開いてるけ
splashdown.
ど4つ目がなんかひのってなってる。
600 meters.
We copy 6.
お、開いた開いた !4 つ目も開きました。4つ目もちゃんと開いたっぽいですね。見てほら、4つ目も綺麗に開きま
600
し
meters. This is a
た。
better shot
あと
of
600
those
メ
4
ートルくらいで
healthy
すか
main
ね。
parachutes
着水が
attached to the
33分、あと2分くらい
Dragon
です。
spacecraft
おか
Endeavour
えりな
as
さ
it
い。
continues to descend.
400 meters.
The rate is as expected, 400 meters from splashdown.
400メーター。
300 meters.
300メーター。
200 meters braced.
We copy 200 embracing.
200
Standing
メ
by
ー
for
ター。
confirmation of splashdown.
ふわふわ。ふわふわ。ふわふわ。リアの手においで。めっちゃ綺麗に見えるね。すごく綺麗。スプラッシュダウン。
Splashdown.
うわすごい伝説的というか
Release.
スプラッシュダウン幻想的に
Copy, we heard the main.
ほ ラシュートがふわっと落ちてい
Endeavour,
き
on
ま
behalf of
した。
SpaceX, welcome home to
お
planet
めでとう、
Earth.
おかえりなさい。ようこそ地球へ。なんだろう。おかえり。
Hey, Chris. It's great to be back to planet Earth. Thanks to the SAE and JAXA teams. It was an honor to represent you and work with your family. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Splashdown confirmed at 7:33 p.m. Pacific, 10:33 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 4 astronauts of Crew 2, Shane Kimbrough, Megan MacArthur,
この
Aki
夜遅いのに
Hoshide,
すっ
and
ご
Thomas
い
Pesquet now
綺麗でした
safely
ね。夜
returned
遅いか
to
らかな。
Earth. Confirmation that the main parachutes have been cut, and you can see from the thermal imaging camera
船もういますね。
that
め
the
ちゃく
fast
ちゃ
boats are
早い
already。on their way to meet up with Crew Dragon Endeavour. Now splashing down off the coast of Florida for the second
おかえ
time.
りなさい。
3, we think we're
素敵だ。すごいすごい。
Hey Shane, you're coming in
ちな
broken,
みにリア、
but we see
今日は
stable
ね
one.、
これクルードラゴンなんだよ。これ見えないか、いつもとちょっと縮尺が違うロケットなんだけど。そう、これクルードラゴ
Stable
ンのつも
1
りな
is
ん
the
だ。
configuration that we were hoping for. Stable 1 means it's in the ocean upright and as expected.
回収部隊洗練されててないか。まあそうかもね。もう直ですぐ取りに行って
So
ま
the
したよ
teams
ね。
have been ready and waiting about 3 nautical miles away.
SpaceX Endeavour. We're going to raise our
めっちゃ綺麗だったね今回。今までの配信は割とお昼
Hey, Dragon, please
お
repeat.
昼だったからなんか結構ね可視光の感じでなんだろうちょっと画像荒いかなぐらいのスプラッシュダウンだったんだけど
Hey,
今
good
回
provider
めっ
raise.
ちゃなんか白黒ではっきり見えてすごかったね。なんかちょっと生命を感じた。なんて言えばいいの。ちょっとなんか生き物っぽくなかったですか。クラゲみたいだった本
So
当
it
に
looks
可
like the
愛
astronauts
かっ
inside are
た
going to be lifting those visors. The recovery team has been waiting about 3 nautical miles away. So it is going to take them a little bit of time to make their way to Shane, Megan, Aki, and Toma inside of Dragon.
4つ目のパラシュートがね、なかなか開かなくてちょっとヒヤッとしましたけど、特になんか変な絡まれ方とかしなくてよかったですね。
Mission control here in Hawthorne will give the go for safe approach. About
ニュ
2
ージーラン
minutes
ドの開始
away,
4回目
2
か。
minutes from
ありがとう。
Splashdown,
そっ
the
か、スプ
approach
ラッ
boat
シュダウ
begins
ン
its
は
inspection.
デモ
We
1
are expecting that
デモ
ordnance and
2デモ
hypercall check to complete
2
around the L
から
plus
の
12-minute mark,
あ、違う、デ
around
モ
the
1
L
じゃない、
plus
デモ
30-minute mark.
2
Dragon,
デモ
SpaceX cam check.
2クルー1クルー2あとはインスピレーション 4
Endeavour has you loud and clear.
インスピレー
SpaceX.
ション4
We have you loud and clear as well. We stopped at the boat. We have you much better now.
これ4回目だ。次のクルー3で5回目の友人かな。
So some good comms checks
パラ
on
シュート
screen
の
right now.
4つ目は
That
完全に
is
スペアな
the
ので
Dragon
あ
capsule
れでなくても原
in
則
the
には問題ない
background.
はず。思うんだけどさ、スペアをつけることによって余計絡まったりとかしないのかな。
Mexico, and there's a boat that is heading towards it. So at about
What is
L plus
about
30 minutes,
here to
the
Dragon
Dragon
maybe?
rigging
It's
is expected to complete. Again, rigging
Do you
is
know
where an employee as part of the recovery team will physically climb on top of Dragon and
中に
attach
人いたのか。
hardware
そうだよ、有人
necessary
飛行だ
to
よ、こ
hoist
れ。
Dragon up and out of the water. Recovery ships also arrive at this time at L plus 38 minutes. That's when we're expecting to lift Dragon out of the water. L plus 40 minutes, Dragon will be on deck of the recovery vessel. And then at L plus 48 minutes, we are expecting Dragon hatch to
2個あれば
open
生きて帰れる
and
の
the crew
あ、
to
そうなんだ
egress
ね。
after
なるほどね。
about 6 months in space.
That is the goal, to do this in under an hour, and it seems like the crew
午
is
前11
right where
時
they're
ぐらいか
supposed
な。
to be, right on
11
time.
時9 分
We're
頃
getting
に日
thermal
本時間で
images
ね、
of
9分頃に
the
5回目の
fast
SpaceX
boats
の
out
有人飛
near
行
the
クルー3が
Crew
つながり
Dragon
ます。いや、
Endeavour
ちょっとクルー
in
3
the
は一緒に見られないかも
wonderfully
しれないんだ
smooth
けど、
waters of the Gulf of
もし
Mexico,
ね、
as predicted,
みんな
which is
リアタイ
fantastic.
できたら
You can
Twitter
see
の方
there's
で
2
つ
boats
ぶやいた
that
り
are
とか
out
したいな
towards
と
the
思ってい
recovery
ます。
vessel
あ
once
とは
we
アー
get
カイブ
a
の視聴
smoother
も
lock on
で
the
きればやり
vehicle
たい
itself.
と
One
思
of
って
them
いる。何時に
collecting
な
the
るかわかんないけど。
parachutes, the other doing some of the rigging that you were talking about, Andy, which is super critical to the next series
ア
of
ーカイブ
steps.
視聴になるかもしれないけどね。
Dragon,
もしよかったら見
SpaceX
に
is
来てく
go
ださ
for
いね。
recovery personnel to
ディ
approach.
ープスペースさん
Expect
来てくれ
personnel
てありが
alongside
とう。いろいろ
momentarily.
やってるね。いろいろやってます。今日はとっても忙しかったよ。朝からスキップシロも飛んで、かなこも飛んで、つてるか帰ってきて。 明日はこの子のね次のクルーを乗っけて飛ばします。
So we should see one of the fast boats go out
解像度が
really
高い。
right
いや
next
本
to
当
the
にすごいよ
capsule.
く見えるよね。
And Andy, you were describing this a little bit earlier. We'll see some personnel climb on
明日
board.
クルシートロケットラブ、
That
ロ
rigging
ケットラブって
equipment
11
is
日じゃなか
hardware
ったの？
that they have on board, and
早
they
くな
have
った
to
りした？
attach certain things to certain areas because the recovery vessel itself, the Go Navigator, is also moving out to.
Dragon, SpaceX.
もしかして
Request
11
permission to
日
come
の
on
ことを
board
言って
via
た
display
の
cam
かな？
only.
何これ？あ、帰ってきた時のやつだ。流星だ。
You're welcome on board on the display cam,
す
SpaceX.
ごいこれ。
We copy. Thanks, Shane.
帰ってきた時の映像じゃないこれ。
So the teams here in Mission Control Hawthorne will get a peek inside the vehicle itself, watching over their shoulder. The crew themselves really are just in a waiting position. Their seats were rotated for chute deployment and for splashdown. So they're in a slightly more upright position, although they're not completely upright. It just helps help them to brace. You heard that a couple of times over the Dragon ground calls, brace for those chute deployments and for the splashdown itself. But really, they're in just a waiting posture at this point as the recovery teams do their job. It'll take the Go Navigator recovery vessel, which we're getting some of the images from right now, the thermal images. It takes it quite a bit to get out to the capsule itself, about 30 minutes, which is why we have the fast boats. Fast boats doing a lot of the work ahead of time to prepare it so that really when the Go Navigator arrives right next to the spacecraft, it is ready to hoist onto the recovery vessel and onto the Dragon nest.
You can see that each of the boats are outfitted with
みんな平日にロケット打ち上げるのやめてもろて。それはごめん嘘ですけど、打ち上げてもろて、いっぱい打ち上げていつでも見られるようにしてもろて。はい。
But it looks like they have plenty of lighting. And this is the second time that this particular capsule has landed.
Right.
So this capsule Endeavour was used as part of the Demonstration 2 mission last year, flying Bob and Doug, and it has splashed down and been recovered once before. So this is not its first rodeo.
Really a testament to the capability of these American spacecraft that are rotating crews to and from the International Space Station as part of these expeditions.
アストラも含めて。
It is truly an international team. From the camera views that you're seeing right now on board the Go Navigator is teams representing NASA, SpaceX, European Space Agency, and the Japanese Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency. All of them on board. Truly an international government and commercial joint effort to make something like this possible.
船行ってますね。 ジャックさんの話もしてましたね。今から船でこう連れてきて、どんぶらこっていうのが一番合うと思うんですけど、この桃をね、どんぶらこと連れてきて、それで回収用のお船に乗っけます。回収用のお船はクレーンがついていて、クレーンでうちらうちら。
First fast boat. Right now it is essentially doing safety checks, making sure that ordnances and hypergalls are still not persisting in the area immediately around the vehicle. They're also doing essentially an inspection of the capsule itself to make sure that integrity-wise it is good before we start to begin with the equipment for hoisting later on tonight.
米国史上最長。すごい。
So again, it's going to take some time. We're shooting for less than an hour to bring the Dragon Endeavour onto the recovery ship. and to open up the hatches and egress the crew or take them out and bring them onto the medical facilities. I can only imagine the views that were possible from right there in the Gulf of Mexico. Let's see, we do have a call in from Leah Cheshire, NASA Communications, who's on the Go Navigator recovery ship and was able to witness the re-entry and splashdown of Crew Dragon Endeavour. Leah, if you can hear me, tell us about your experience witnessing Dragon Endeavour splash down, bringing a crew home from the International Space Station for the second time.
4つでしたかって、前回のも4つのパラシュートでしたかって質問があったんですけど、じゃあインスピレーション4のやつを見てみますか。インスピレーション4も4つだったと思いますよ。前回のインスピレーション4の画像がこちらですね。これ4つあるのが見えますかね。クラゲは4つです。色はこんな感じ。お昼はね、なんか夜だからあんまり見えなかったかもしれないけど、白っぽいパラシュートに赤っぽいマークがついてて、結構本当にクラゲっぽいかも。餌食べた後のクラゲっぽくない？なんかクラゲって餌食べた後なんかオレンジ色の餌の食べた後さ、お腹オレンジ色に四つ葉になるよね。かわいい。It's wonderful temperatures. The sea is very smooth and glassy almost, and so things are just moving really smoothly here, and teams are executing everything necessary on board.
Leah, tell me what's happening as you are witnessing it. You mentioned landing not too long ago, about an hour and a half ago on the recovery ship. Tell me what the teams have been doing. We witnessed the back end of that with the recovery boats deployed. What's been happening in preparation from your perspective to get ready for this moment?
ちょっと時間がかかってるって言ってる気がするけど、デプロイとかボートがとか言ってるね。ちょっとハプニングがあった的な感じのこと言ってるように聞こえるけど、何があったんだ？ちょっと時間がかかってるみたいなこと言ってるような聞こえ方だったんだけど、何があったのかな？And you'll see that as it pulls toward the platform that they will egress. They'll then move into medical checks. So all the team members here on the boat
Dragon, SpaceX for status
a couple of flights tonight on the helicopters, and they're ready to jump in.
Go ahead for status update.
Hypergol sweeps and unfired ordnance checks are nominal. Rigging is in progress. Approximately 5 minutes until capsule lift. Stand by for a PMC as our next step.
Copy 5 minutes before lift and standing by for PMC.
All right, we're hearing private medical conference coming up.
For a minute, just to finish the phone ops if you'd like.
Sounds good. We'll call you back in 1 minute.
All right, hearing those the crew sounding healthy from inside Crew Dragon Endeavour, walking through the final steps, getting a private medical conference. Leah, one more question before we let you go and witness some of the next series of events. Of course, we're going to be following all along the way, but after the crew enters into the Go Navigator vessel and does those medical checks, what are the next steps to get the crew home? Either in Houston or in the European Space Agency.
ヒューストンかヨーロッパに帰る？メディカルチェックを受けるって言ってたね。ゴーナビゲーターの中でメディカルチェックを受けるって言ったのかな？回収した船の中で受けるみたいです。あとゴーナビゲーターってさっきから言っているこのね、ナレーションでゴーナビゲーター、ゴーナビゲーターって言ってるのは名前です。船の名前じゃなかったかな。ゴーナビゲーター。Back to their respective hometowns, especially those families that have been they began their mission on the International Space Station. Everything is moving on. キラキラしてる。キラキラしてるよ。
Leah Cheshire, NASA Communications, thank you for joining us and telling us a little bit about what's happening there at the recovery site. Best of luck to
日
you.
本語のハプニングとは違うよ。分かったけど、なんかでもさ、いつもより時間かかってるとか言ってなかったさっき。
All right, that was Leah Cheshire on board the Go Navigator recovery vessel, now heading back to inside the Crew Dragon. We're getting those views right over the shoulder. The crew standing by, helmet visors up, really just in a waiting posture as we're waiting for the fast boats and the teams out there to rig the Crew Dragon Endeavour with the proper equipment to hoist the capsule itself up onto the Go Navigator spacecraft, where you just heard Leah Cheshire and the remaining recovery teams are waiting for, of course, the series of medical checks and of course, personnel representing each of the space agencies, NASA, European Space Agency, JAXA, as well as SpaceX.
何が起こったか分かんなかったの。なんかね、ボートタグボートがとか、あとなんだっけ、なんか結構時間かかってるとかってなかったかな。でも近づけてるし大丈夫かな。綺麗。宇宙から落ちてきた宝物を集めてる感じして面白いな。あとやっぱりどこまで行ってもどんぶらこだねこれ。どんぶらこ、どんぶらこ。これ重心どうなってるんだろう。下が重いんだろうな、やっぱり。ここのそこの三角形じゃないところ。ちょっと斜めになるんだね、こう。スペースおにぎり。おにぎりっぽいかも、確かに。海外日記からしてもこれおにぎりなの？早く持ってきてよ、どんぶらこ。
So again, as expected, Crew Dragon Endeavour splashing down off the coast of Pensacola, Florida, right on time, 7:33 p.m. Pacific Time, 10:33 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. An incredible journey. We got to fly around of the International Space Station, documenting the exterior of the orbiting complex with digital photographs. The first time we've done that since 2018 with a Soyuz survey that was done. A lot of elements of the space station have been added since, so we'll be able to document that and check on the status of areas that can't normally be seen by some of the exterior cameras, as well as the robotic arm. You see, we are getting views from inside capsule Endeavour. The crew really just poised, seated, with their seats rotated slightly upright. You can see they still have access to some of the panels.
For status update.
2回目のフライトって言ったかな。
Go ahead.
すごいね、これ船。本当に船だよね。なんかあっちに行ってさ、ISS で止めといてさ、ISS からそれで帰ってくる。完璧。マスバランス偏らせてるはずだから、海の上でも傾くのかな。なんかそんな気がする。なんか着水の時もさ、インスピレーション4とか見るとわかるけど、こんな感じ。ちょっとほら、わかる？傾いてるんだよね、これ。
Just got updates that the recovery vessel is just a couple hundred meters away from the Dragon capsule, and they are gearing up for the PMC, which stands for Private Medical Conference. The flight surgeon will check in with each of the crew members to make sure they are doing well, as they have just returned back to Earth after 199 days in space. Right now, this is a view of the backside of the recovery vessel. That is essentially a crane. The bottom middle section is the platform or nest where the Dragon will be hoisted up and placed upon, and that platform actually will move towards the center of the boat into essentially a platform where the astronauts can step off of. And so, again, the boat is backing up towards the Dragon capsule. You can see it in the background there, and it'll hook up all of its lines to the rigging equipment that the rigger is currently attaching on the spacecraft, and we'll hoist it up and get it on top of the recovery vessel.
We are not too far away from the Dragon spacecraft. It's right off of the aft end of the recovery vessel itself. So right as expected, it was expected to be a 30-minute transit.
中身見たい。何入ってんだろう。
Yeah, about a 30-minute transit, and
何太郎かな？古太郎？
they got there in
ド
20.
ラ太郎？エンデバ太郎？
And I think a big part of this is you look at the seas right now, and there's effectively no movement. Gary, Leah described it, witnessing it firsthand. It is glass-like, which makes really for the recovery operations just that much easier.
Really one of the very critical reasons why we are in an indirect handover posture. Again, the Crew 2 astronauts landing in the Gulf of Mexico before Crew 3 launched. It was really for this reason. It was because the weather at this moment in time was predicted to be as smooth and as fantastic as the weather predictions forecasted. So again, the crew had a private medical conference that was an initial assessment before the docs on board have access to pull them out of the spacecraft. They have a pretty good idea of what to expect whenever they pull them out, so they'll know the right precautions to take and what's needed for each individual crew member. That, of course, privatized because of the medical reasons, but that is why we have medical personnel on board the recovery spacecraft, medical facilities on board, I'm sorry, not the recovery spacecraft, the recovery vessel, and medical facilities there as well. And of course, it'll be a time for the docs to do those initial checks before they, what's anticipated, will fly each of the crew members out on a helo back to shore, where there are planes staged for them to bring them back home. It's not going to be a very long transit at all until we have some crew members back home. Shane, Kimbrough, Megan MacArthur, Aki Hoshide, all planned to go on a NASA plane back to Houston. They'll land in Ellington Field, not too far away from the Johnson Space Center there, where they'll get to meet up with their family and friends, of course. Thomas Pesquet will board a separate plane and head over to Europe for the facilities over at the European Space Agency to do something similar.
Ria ちゃんがお家に持って帰ってきたクレッツドラゴンエンデバー号を食べようと包丁を振りかざしてってシュー。するとスーパードラコエンジンからヒドラダメだ、バッドエンドになってしまうわ。
So we're continuing to provide coverage, even though the Crew Dragon and the crew inside have splashed down safely in the Gulf of Mexico at right on time, 7:33 p.m. Pacific, 10:33 p.m. Eastern. We'll continue to provide coverage until they egress or exit from the spacecraft itself. Once all 4 crew members are on board, we're expecting to get some calls from representatives of each of the space agencies of the astronauts that are on board. Crew Dragon, Endeavour now, NASA, JAXA, and ESA all calling in to provide some remarks after a successful mission and return of all 4 crew members back to planet Earth.
まだかな、早くしないとクルードラゴンドラ太郎が鬼退治まで行っちゃうぞ。早く帰っておいでよドラ太郎。20 minutes？ 20分もかかるの？そんなにかかるかい？まだなんかカプセル側作業してるかなまだかかるのかな。今 ISS の船長どうなっているんだろう。ISS の船長交代したのかな。聞いてみては調べてなかった。結構いたけど、結構帰ってきたから。
Hoist the Dragon out of the water before they can egress the vehicle.
From this view inside Crew Dragon Endeavour, over on the right side, Megan MacArthur, the pilot for the Crew 2 mission. You can see that little black antenna sticking out from her seat. She's on a satellite phone right now, talking with the teams over in Mission Control Houston.
真ん
Getting
中のや
confirmation
つが
that
さ、
everyone's saying hi to the crew, checking in. Sounds like they're doing very well.
今のステータス表してんのかな。そんな感じに見える。 CG っぽいよね、真ん中のやつ。
If you remember back in the Demo 2 mission, it was a test mission for using Crew Dragon Endeavour, but really to verify that the SpaceX Crew Dragon was ready to carry crews as part of regular crew rotation missions to and from the International Space Station. As part of that, they used the satellite phone as one of the checks and measures to ensure that the crew had the capability to use the satellite phone to call the various teams and report statuses. It was really a precaution and one of the test objectives of the mission itself.
なんかさ、
Now
すごい
continuing
よね。
that here on
友
Crew
人
2.
でスペース X がさ、バリバリやってきてさ、おお、スペース X 安定してきたなと思って、この2年、1年ぐらいですごいなと思ったら、もう友人をさ、飛ばしてさ、友人をやってさ、その間にさ、5回も4回か、4回も友人飛行させてすごいよね。イプシロンを昨日、今日か、朝打ち上がったけど、その間にイプシロンは一気。まだまだ負けてらんないぜ。まだかな、まだかな。ガンマさん、スクヤクちゃん来てくれてありがとう。帰ってきたー。おかえりなさーい。来た来た来た来た。どんぶらこどんぶらこと大きなドラゴンが。
And now the recovery vessel is that much closer to the Dragon capsule.
こんにちは、こんにちは、来てくれてありがとう。今から引き上げて中身を開けます。
SpaceX for status
ど
update.
んな中身が入ってるか楽しみですね。ちょっとさ、顔が鳥っぽくないこの時のね、クルードラゴンってね、いつも鳥っぽいなって思ってるんですよね。鳥っぽくない？なんかひよこみたいじゃない？東京のお菓子。ひよこみたい。
See the person that is on the capsule itself. That is the rigger. They we
と
just
かも似
got
てるかもね。
confirmation that the
なんか
rigging
お菓子
has
っぽ
been
くない？
completed. Now they are essentially securing
はい、こうやって
the Dragon
クレーンを
capsule to
倒し
all
て
the
ね、
rigging
囲うよ
hardware
うな
that was
感じに
attached
します。
to safely lift it up and out of the water and onto the
ちょっと
recovery
シ
vessel.
マエナガっぽいな。
And we're seeing motion of the A-frame now, getting into position. The rigger making the final attachments necessary.
人間がね、今乗っけてますけど、こ
Memory serves me right from previous recovery missions. The rigger will
こにいる人
jump
間
off the
が
capsule
頑張
into
っ
the water
て、頑張ってつけたりし
and
てるみ
make
たい
his
だ
way
よ。
back into
頑張れ
the
人間。
recovery or into one of the fast boats after he's done with this work.
Dragon, SpaceX, brace for capsule lift.
Copy, brace.
There he goes, as expected, jumped into the water. His job complete, attaching the all of the connection points to Crew Dragon Endeavour. making sure that it is stable as the A-frame itself
ク
using
ルードラ
hydraulic
ゴンっ
lifts
て何回利用できるように設計したんでし
hoists
たっけ？
Crew Dragon Endeavour out of the water
何回だっけ？
onto that
10回じゃ
circular
ないか
frame
な。
there you see at the base
多分
of
違
the
う？
ship.
もしかしたら10回はあ
That
れ
is
か
the
な。
Dragon
1段目の
Nest.
混ぜってるかな。でもなんか10回だった気がするんだけど。どうやら。
And Garrett, we are we're slightly ahead of schedule. We were expecting Dragon lift to begin at L plus 38 minutes. It is L plus 30 minutes now. So things continuing to go smoothly as part of Crew 2's return and recovery.
Seem to get better and more efficient with each mission.
浮いてる！浮いてる！そしてこのクッションの上にね、ダーンと置きますよ。何が入っているかな。水溜まってる、ここ水。回収。座ったー。座布団に座った。ここからね、座布団に置いて、ここ外してペロンってしたら、ここのね、状態からこう前にウィーンって、このままウィーンって運ぶことができて、ウィーンって運んだ先にこのね、高さのタラップが置いてあるんですよ。このタラップのところから人間が取り出されるって感じです。取り出される人間、なんかちょっと良くない表現かな。なんだろう、中のクルーの方々がこの高さのタラップつけた後にこう出てくるって感じ。
Personnel completing final
これ
checks.
試合来てくれた
Stand
んや
by for
と
translation to the
やっぱ
egress
り来てくれ
platform.
ると大きいですね。まあね、人間が入ってるぐらいだからね、車よりももう少し大きいくらいでしょうかね。水揚げって書きたくなっちゃう。魚かな、ヒラメだけに。きょ
Alright,
う
with
ちゃん、
that, we have
あ
confirmation
りが
that
とう。
Crew Dragon Endeavour is on the Dragon Nest. It has been hoisted
確かにタイ
from
からやってきた
the
から
Gulf
天
of
使だわ。
Mexico and put onto the recovery ship. Where you saw the dragon be gently placed is called the Dragon Nest. That whole section of the ship will be translated or moved in further into the ship to allow access to the side hatch. That'll be the next very important critical series of steps. There's personnel there that will work on the hatch to eventually open it. It'll be open for the first time in 199 days. And we'll get the first glimpses of the crew inside. We should be able to witness
7
the
人乗り。
egress operations as well, each of the crew members getting out as long as the feeds permit,
シエンタ。
so we can welcome each of them inside.
車と比べたらどうなんだろう。もうちょっと大きいように見えるけどな。実家のシエンタ7人乗り。やっぱシエンタだ。シエンタちっちゃいよね。ちっちゃい割によく乗るよね、シエンタ。
Okay.
Crew 3 will use a new dragon and the astronauts name it Endurance. Endurance! まだかな。お、クレーンの紐が降りて外されるでしょうか。
So for those of you just joining us, the Dragon capsule has been lifted up and out of the water and is on the recovery vessel. We just saw a few shots of the crew on board the ship. What they're doing is securing the Dragon onto the ship to make sure it doesn't move as, it's being translated or moved towards the egress platform where the side hatch will be opened and the crew inside can egress the vehicle. The shot you see on screen right now is a view inside. It's a live shot of inside the capsule. On the left-hand side, that is Commander Shane Kimbrough, and to the right of him is pilot Megan MacArthur. What you don't see on screen is to the right of Megan MacArthur is Mission Specialist Thomas Pesquet. And to the left of Shane Kimbrough is Mission Specialist Aki Hoshide. They've had about an 8-hour journey from undocking from the International Space Station, and now they're on the recovery vessel.
Stand by for translation to egress platform.
もう着水じゃないや、水揚げして座布団乗っけたから、あとはもうグッと押して早くあっちを開けるだけですね。ピーピーっていうね、鳴き声も聞こえてきて、なんか鳥っぽい。かわいい。鳴いてみ？ほら。ドラゴン鳴いてみ？鳴かへんな。
There's that
鳴いてみ
translation.
鳴いてみ。あ。グググググ。やってきましたー。ここのね、階段のところにちょうどピコッと当てて中のハッチを開けていきます。中野ならコショコショしてみようクルードラゴン。日本語の船の呼び方のバリエーションがもう少し欲しい。ほうほうほう、どういうことどういうこと？宇宙船とかってこと？じゃなくてエンデバーとかってこと？クルードラゴンの鳴き声スピかわいいよね。ピーピュー。こんな感じなんですね。こんな感じ。猛毒マスクで対応。なんかね、中になんか変ながなったりとかするかもしんないし、あとさっきも言ったけどね、一応危ないガスを使ったエンジンとかが積んであるっちゃあるので、タンクも積んであるので危険な可能性もあるから気をつけること。
Still getting views from inside Crew Dragon Endeavour. This is spectacular. We're less than 40 minutes after the Dragon itself splashed down in the Gulf of Mexico for the second time. Now, just again, less than 40 minutes later, the crew has been hoisted onto the recovery ship, and the Dragon nest itself has been translated over to the egress platform. The next series of steps will be personnel on the recovery vessel that are specialized in opening up that side hatch. Will do so. We have medical doctors on board that will take care of them after that. They'll provide initial medical care and assessment, egressing the crew from outside the Dragon and putting them into medical facilities that are on board to conduct a series of initial checks before they are flown by helicopter back to shore. The recovery vessel takes quite a bit of time to get back to shore, so they'll be flown so they can get right on an aircraft and fly home within a very short period of time. Again, we're going to provide continuous coverage until all crew members have egressed the vehicle. We also have representatives of NASA, JAXA, and ESA that are scheduled to be on the line to provide comments of a successful mission after the crew successfully splashed down, egressed, and are safe on board the recovery vessel.
Dragon, stand by for side hatch opening and egress. Next call will be from the recovery team. Crew 2, congratulations. Mission control, send it off.
こんがり焼けてるなって。そうだね、周りがもうめちゃくちゃ黄色んでますね。こんがりと焼けておりますね。 旅が終わっちゃう。いいじゃないか、無事に帰ってこれたんだから。
Side hatch is open.
サイドハッチ is open。 開きました、サイドハッチ。これでね、みんなと対面することができますよ。元気ですか？トイレ我慢できましたか？大丈夫でしたか？心配だったんだよ。内側から見えるね。早い。着水からもう40分ぐらいですかね。
Even from inside Dragon now, we're seeing some of the recovery personnel.
宇宙から帰る重力が大変らしい。いや、それ思う。リアもさ、休日にさ、一日中ゴロンってしてしまってさ、次の日、お出かけしなきゃいけない時とかって、めっちゃくちゃしんどいもん。休日でベッドの中でゴロゴロしてたら、多分筋力も取れると思うんだけど、それを半年でしょ。200日ぐらいやっててさ、すごいよね、こんなの。あとめっちゃさ、面白いこと、リアも最近気づいたことなんだけど、こういうの
for them to egress the vehicle with that out of the way.
なんていうかな、つまり重力がね、この空間にリアなくて、ほら離しても落ちないのね、こうやって空間に置けるの。
We're on a great timeline right now, just 40 minutes after splashing down in the Gulf of Mexico. The side hatch is open, and there are teams inside Crew Dragon Endeavour.
空間に置けると思うんだけど、
Pretty quick recovery, not bad.
まあ空間に置ける状態に慣れすぎてて、なんかこう物とかを空間に置こうとしてしまうとか、そういうことがあるらしいよ。リアまだこのね、重力のない空間にまだまだそんなに慣れてないから大丈夫だけど、慣れすぎたらもしかしたら、あ、ごめん、何かあった時にもこうやってポンって置こうとしてしまってペンを落とすとかあるかもしれない。おー、帰りなさい。
Five views inside Endeavour. Wonderful. Getting all 4 crew members thumbs up. They are feeling good. Live streamed from on the recovery boat. Spectacular.
おかえりなさーい。よかったよかった、皆さんご無事で。はい。お疲れー。おかえりなさーい。
So you can see some more of the footrests are coming out of the vehicle, and once all of those are removed, we are expecting the crew to egress one at a time.
パッと見は元気そうで何よりやって。パッと見は元気そうで何より。おかえりなさーい。みんなが出てくるとこまで見たいな。今日の配信は1時何分かな。あと10分ぐらいまでなら時間があるんだけど、あと10分ぐらいしかできないかも。セカンドストリームトゥデイナイス、ありがとうございます。3回目かもしれない。この子たちの最初の外すとこも配信したから。重力大変かもしれないけど頑張ってください。笑い声が聞こえてくるんですけど、誰の笑い声ですか？ だかな。ゆっくりでいいけど。あ、1人目かな。えすごい色出ちゃった。何これ。They won't be able to work as well as inspiration for crew who was only in space for 3 days スペースインスピレーション4の時は3日間しか宇宙にいなかったからね、そっちよりはまだ大変だろうという感じだよね。確かにそれはそうかもしれない。でもほら宇宙でさ、こう鍛えたやつがした宇宙飛行士なんだからきっと大丈夫だよ。元気な姿のはず。爆発が足りない。あ、ダメダメ。人間乗ってる時は爆発しちゃダメ。人間乗ってない、なんか試着のロケットで爆発はしていいけど。スロープが出てきましたね。スロープがこうやって上に捕まってこうふーんって出てくるのかな。
So if you are just joining us, left hand side of the screen, that is a view from inside of the Dragon capsule. It has
待って
been
なんだってゆっくり出てきてるから
recovered
じゃない
out of the water
違う
and
かな。
is currently on the recovery vessel. The side hatch is open, as you can see on the right hand side of the screen. The recovery team are continuing to do some more checkouts and procedures before we start to see the Crew 2 astronauts egress the
メディ
Dragon
カルチェック
capsule.
って言っちゃうんで。なんで聞こえなくなってた。なんで変なこと言ってないのに。ただいま声聞こえるようになったかな。ありがとうね、教えてくれて助かった。今のはガチの不具合でしたから本当に分かんなかった。助かった、ありがとう。メディカルチェックをしたかな。体が無事か見た後に一人ずつ引っ張り出されていくようですよ。お帰りありがとうございます。出ておいで、はい出ておいで。
Still standing by for
英文での続き
the
だった。
egress
あらあら、
of
そうだったん
the
だ。
4 astronauts of Crew 2. Outside of Crew Dragon Endeavour, you can see stationed over to the left there is a stretcher, part of the nominal procedure. Once they are egressed from the vehicle, they'll be put into the stretcher and taken over to medical facilities. This is a standard precaution that's been exercised for each of the crew recovery missions so far.
短歌も横にペイントが焼けたまあペイントはね仕方ないかな。If you can survive through the entry, Dragon is way easier ソユーズがいけるならドラゴンもいけるぐらいの優しさなんだね。ありがとう。着水から1時間経ちませんけど経ちそうです。
First crew member being egressed from Crew Dragon Endeavour.
おー、買いな
Got
さ
witness some
ーい。
applause there from some of the recovery personnel as
椅
well.
子だ。椅子。いいねー。ちょうどいいじゃん。これめっちゃいい。乗りたいこれ。乗りたい。
It's hard to tell which crew member that was. And we got confirmation that was Megan MacArthur. That was the pilot of the Crew 2 mission, the first crew member egressed from inside Crew Dragon Endeavour.
椅子が用意されたのか、そうみたいだよ。椅子があります。どこ置いとこう。こうかな。おかえりみんな。When your spin is compressed back to gravity to focus order. That's a cute little slide. Thank you. ありがとう。お二人目。うわー。
Next out is Commander
コマンダ
Shane
ー。
Kimbrough. Outside of Crew Dragon Endeavour, being translated over to the stretcher per nominal procedure. Waves, smiles on his face. A fantastic journey. 199 days in space, splashing down on time.
How long was it in space for? さっき言ってましたね。なんか 200?196 日だっけ。なんだっけ。さっきスペース X が言ってたよ。スペース X さんが言ってました。How long? The crew, two astronauts and Dragon spent 199 days in orbit. This is the first US spacecraft to reach that milestone. And 199 days in space in orbit. Amazing. グッドボタンたくさんありがとうございます。同説が60人ぐらいいて、高評価もそんなぐらいあるから、いや、言わなくてもみんな押してくれなったってこと、ありがとうございます。Thank you, your like ボタン、ありがとう。4人とも出たらね、再生して終わりにします。もうリアの時間も少なくなってきた。あと少ししか時間使えなくなってきたので、全員出るのを待ってリプレイを少しして終わりにしたい。あ、そんなジグがあるんだ。押したよって、ありがとうございます。もしね、リアになんか支援したい方はね、なんだっけ、今スーパーチャットは送れないんだけど、概要欄からドネーションとかもできるので、もしリアが本体にお送りしたいと思った人はそちらにお願いします。それからスペース X さんの方に送りたいと思った方はスペース X さんに投げるんや、あれを、マニーを。一緒にファルコン9のスターリンクを使うんや。お願いしますね。
And here comes the third member to egress the capsule. This is Aki Hoshide.
出てきたー。スペース X でスパチャできないな。いや、スパチャじゃなくてもいい。なんかスペース X さんにあれを使えばいい、スターリンクを使えばいい、ベータ版申し込むんや。
Some fist bumps
あ、星出さ
and
ん、
smiles from Aki.
秋星出さ
Again,
ん、秋
after
彦さん、みんな秋秋って言うね、秋星出だと思ってだからな。はい、星出さん。
All crew members flashing the peace sign for crew 2. I love it.
And that leaves one more member inside of Dragon. That is
あ
Thomas
ともうお一
Pesquet
人いらっ
of
し
the
ゃいますね。
European Space Agency.
直後は自力で立てなくて普通。いや、まあそうだよ、そりゃあそうよ、立てなくて普通だと思うよ。星で is hard to say for Americans。 そうなんだ、やっぱ言いづらいんだ、星で。そうなんだ。でが言いづらいの、星で、星で。あはは、なるほどね。星で。あはは。クリア言いやすかな。帰ってきたー。この船からの映像とかってスターリンク使ってないのかな。よいしょっと。はい、お疲れ様でした。宇宙飛行士の服も本当になんか軽いよね。前見てたもうずんぐりむっくりの宇宙飛行士さんのイメージともう全然違うわ。すごいわ。
There you go. Everybody flashing the crew 2. I love it.
Yes.
バイバイ。
Fist bumps, high
and high fives
fives.
for
バイ
posterity.
バイ。
So that
こ
is
れ
all
全員で
four
すね。
members
全員
of
ク
the
ルーメンバー
Crew
を
2 team
船から取り出すことができまし
safely
た。 はい、
on
ク
a
ル
boat.
太
I
郎、
was
ドラ
going
太
to say
郎、エン
on
デ
land
バ太
for a
郎。
second, but they're on a boat, and they will head to all the respective places they need to go. But what a great recovery. We talked about how things were going to speed up and get more exciting, and that recovery was one of the fastest I've ever seen.
よかったですね。
It was spectacular. I mean, you
大丈夫だっ
couldn't
たの
have
かな
asked for
心
a
配だった
better
けど
mission.
無
We
事に
accomplished
帰ってきたみ
everything
たい
and
でよかった
everything
で
on
す。
time.
今から
Undocking right at 11:05 a.m.
タック
earlier
ス
today.
の様子を
We
リ
did a
プ
fly
レ
around of
イ
the
配
International
信するの
Space
で、
Station. Went
それだけ見て、
super smoothly.
そ
Got
の
some
後にもう
fantastic
終わり
views,
にしようと
even
思
on
い
our
ますの
coverage
で、よ
all
ろし
along
く
the
お願い
way.
します。で
All
は
of the
では
burns
で
performed
は。
as expected. We did have an out-of-plane burn as well that was introduced just to make sure we were on the right course, but it set us up right for that deorbit burn on time. And lo and behold, as soon as we got out of that blackout period, even a little bit before, from the WB-57, those views of the streak that was the plasma building up on the outside of the spacecraft, we saw that. We saw all great shoots, drogue shoots, main shoots, all deploy with the infrared cameras and land on a glassy Gulf of Mexico. The waves were perfect, incredible wind speeds, and the recovery operations went super smooth. All in all, a fantastic mission.
リプレイしますね。
So we'll stand by. We're going to continue our coverage here for just a little bit. All of the crew members have egressed and are on the recovery boats, but we're going to stand by. We're hoping to hear from some representatives from each of the respective space agencies, NASA, ESA.
Automated shoots.
本当にすごかった。こちらリプレイをしましょう。はい、じゃあいきますよ。ここからリプレイ。めちゃくちゃ綺麗でしたね。こちら火球みたいな本当に綺麗だ
Wonderful
った。
to hear from the crew on the other side of the blackout period. The
後ろの服にストーリー
WB-57
ありがとうござい
high
ました。
altitude
お
aircraft
疲れ
providing
様。
that thermal
ロケット
imaging.
の
We
次は
saw
これ
the
からもね
tail
見ていくの
of
で、
the
もし
entry
夜
of the
配
vehicle
信に
itself.
興味があったら
Absolutely
Dragon,
look
beautiful.
at the
GPS
minutes,
converge.
because I know-
Expect nominal altitude for drogues.
Copy GPS, terminal altitude.
So again, nominal altitude for drogue deployment, that happens at about 18,000 feet. Again, good news after good news, Gary. Things are looking great for Crew 2 return.
I am loving this flight. That altitude expected
もう一回見たいこれ。
1 minute from now.
ここ見たい。もう一回見たい。これほんとすごいよ。
We're getting WB views. The first views of Crew Dragon. Look at that tail. That's the 3,500 degrees.
Yes.
Look for the hot thing, right?
It is the hottest thing in the sky right now.
すごいよね。
That is such a, it's literally lighting up the sky.
Endeavour, SpaceX, come check.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Beautiful.
And Dragon, we've got you. Expect automated parachute deployment, and we have you on visual.
Automated shoots.
あとこれはスペース X 風の衣装です。あ、スカートが見えちゃうんだけどね。
Wonderful to hear from the crew on the other side of the blackout period. The WB-57 high altitude aircraft providing that thermal imaging. We saw the tail of the entry of the vehicle itself. Absolutely
Dragon,
beautiful.
GPS converge. Expect nominal altitude for drogues.
カラー映像のやつ確かに今までなかなか見えなかったのですごく良かった。
So again, nominal altitude for drogue deployment, that happens at about 18,000 feet. Again, good news after good news, Gary. Things are looking great for Crew 2 return.
そう、
I
こ
am
れ
loving
スペー
this
ス X
flight.
の白と
That
黒
altitude
と、あとこ
expected
の星とかもね
1
入ってま
minute
すよ。
from now.
めっちゃ綺麗だったね。ちょっと飛ばし飛ばしですが行きましょう。
Right as anticipated, Andy.
Dragon, brace for drogue window.
ドラグウィンドウって言ったかな。
We're braced.
The thermal imaging system on board the WB-57 is getting us great views of the capsule, but should give us equally good views of the drogue deployment, expected seconds from now.
The capsule is traveling about 350 miles an hour, and the drogue chute's job is to slow it down to about 120.
パラシュートの前にドラッグシュートというねパラシュートが開きます。ドラッグシュートまだかな。出てるドラッグシュート出てる。
Drogues deployed.
これがドラッグシュー
Confirmation.
ト。放出のことデプロイっていうのでドラッグデプ
That'll
ロ
slow
イっ
us
て言
down
って
from
ますね。
350 miles an hour to 120 miles an hour.
Dragon, video on 2 healthy drogues, descent rate nominal.
Copy, great news.
めっちゃ黒い影になってて分かりやすいね。
So in about 30 seconds, the main chutes are going to come out. There are 4 of them,
そして30秒後
and they
に
deploy
メイ
at
ンパラ
about
シュートが開くよと。
6,500 feet. Oh,
出てるね。
Gary, look at this.
出て
This is an
る。
excellent view of the drogue parachutes.
There it is.
ドラッグか
Drogue
ら
separation.
ドラッグが出て
Main chute deploy.
メインシュートが出て
We'll wait for confirmation of 4 healthy mains.
ふわっふわっすっごくなんか解像度が高くてめっちゃ見やすいね。ふわーイエーイ
Video on 4 healthy mains, descent
なん
rate
かこれ
nominal.
ね
Copy, great news. 1,000 meters.
一個ちょっと開けてあげないと
Copy
これ
1000.
You really
Music
can't
like
ask
that.
for
Yeah,
anything
hopefully
better.
so,
You
ne?
got confirmation
Music
of,
like that, boy.
you heard on the loops there, 4 healthy mains. Descent rate is nominal. That means we are expecting splashdown 3 minutes from now.
でここからだんだん開いていけるようになってよかったね。
Visually, you can see one of the mains taking slightly longer to
800
inflate,
meters.
but the teams are tracking that as a nominal inflation rate. And
こんな感じでちゃんと最終的には開いて
meters.
ね。
This is a better shot.
こんな感じになりましたという感じでした。33分に着水しっかりできてましたよ。
standing by for confirmation of splashdown.
よし、じゃあこれで今日のリアの配信は終わり。ちょっとスプラッシュダウン本当はしたかったからリアもなんかできないかな。一緒に撮影とかかな、こうやってふわふわふわふわふわふわふわとかかな。にゃよし、お疲れ様ありんでした。
B57 is 3.
バイバイみんな。こんな感じかな。バイバイ。本当は捕まりたかったんだけど、こうやって本当は捕まりたかったんだけど、捕まるだけの場所がなくて、捕まっとくこうやってやっばやっばやっばい音出ちゃった。顔がすごい。お疲れ様ありんでした。こうかな。ありがとうみんな。じゃあね。お疲れ様ありんでした。バイバーイ。こうかな。バイバイバイバイ。じゃあね、バイバイ。バイバイ、お疲れ様。無事帰ってきてよかったね。お疲れ様でした。バイバイ、またね。今日の夜の配信は疲れてなかったらまたなんか考えます。ではではではでは。明日もあれ、ツイッターを見てくれ。リアのツイッターを見てくれ。 よろしく。Twitter でできるだけつぶやくようにする。頑張る。Twitter も頑張る。じゃあね、バイバイ。Twitter フォローよろしくね。Please follow my Twitter お願いします。じゃあね、バイバイ。